All right, so it is 6:02. I am going to go ahead and get started. First, I would like to introduce myself and then a few other New Hampshire Audubon staff members who are joining and helping out this evening. My name is Anita Fernandez. I am the Community Outreach Coordinator here at New Hampshire Audubon and have the privilege of hosting the second annual New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge. We held the first one in 2025. And if you weren't able to participate, I'll just quickly recap that we did have people visit all of the included sanctuaries and we received almost 4,000 observations. So it was a really great time. And we are, of course, hoping for an even bigger turnout this year and to receive even more submissions. We also have with us Grace McCulloch. She is our one of our wildlife biologists, and she is going to be helping out this evening going over the eBird platform, which in conjunction with iNaturalist is one of the two platforms we'll be using during the challenge. And we also have Erin Berger in our philanthropy department and Zoe Dawson in our communications department. They have both graciously offered to help moderate this evening, so they will be keeping an eye on the chat and the Q&A to help answer any quick questions or put some links in there for everybody. And if anybody has any questions that they aren't able to answer, that would be better suited for myself and Grace, we will keep those until the end and then we'll answer questions at the end. If you were part of last year's webinar, you may have remembered that we had a few questions and ran a little bit over our time. So we tried to extend the webinar this year to an hour and a half. But of course, if you do have to drop off early, you are welcome to do so. We are recording this webinar and we will make it available after this evening. So probably tomorrow or possibly Thursday, we will get it up on our website. All right. So if you give me just a moment, I am going to share my screen so we can get started. All right, and I'm just going to ask my team to make sure that they can all see the first webinar slide. Great. All right. So welcome to the introduction webinar for the New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge. The challenge itself runs the last full week of June. This year it will be from June 21st to June 27th. And just a couple of technical notes. We are in full webinar mode, so you do not have to worry about being on camera or having your audio on. You are free to enjoy a beverage or a snack and relax and watch the presentation. If you would like to input any information about yourself or communicate with some of the other attendees, you're welcome to do so in the chat. And then you should also have a Q&A section where you can enter in questions. If for any reason you can't access the Q&A, you can put your questions into the chat and Erin and Zoe will grab those there as well. And to tell you a little bit about New Hampshire Audubon, in case anyone is unfamiliar with our organization, we are a state-based environmental organization. We have been around since 1914, so about 112 years. And we work mainly in 4 different areas. We have a team of wildlife biologists who works in our conservation department, and they study and monitor and help protect a variety of species that are threatened or endangered or indicative of specific in peril habitats. We have an education team full of environmental educators who work on everything from library presentations to a 9-week summer camp at our 2 centers. We have a lands department that is comprised of only 2 individuals, over 40 wildlife sanctuaries that protects over 8,000 acres of land throughout the state. Within our lands department, we also have a group of very dedicated sanctuary stewards who help our two lands department staff members. And we have an environmental policy team. We have a senior advisor to policy, which you may or may not be familiar with, Carol Foss, who's been with the organization for over 50 years, and an environmental policy committee, of which I am a member. And we try to work with the state legislature and occasionally other federal organizations for various environmental policy bills to ensure that our wild areas in New Hampshire are kept protected. And in this webinar this evening, we are going to cover a little bit about what the Nature Challenge is, what a BioBlitz is, because the Nature Challenge is essentially a BioBlitz style event, how to use the iNaturalist platform, and some tips for getting good observations through that platform. And then, as I mentioned, Grace will take over and discuss eBird and how to successfully add to eBird and have good observations. Then a little bit about the sanctuaries that are included and visiting them safely, our schedule of events during the challenge week, and then some additional resources if you would like to learn more about anything we've discussed this evening. So first, why are we holding the New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge? As I mentioned, this is essentially a BioBlitz style event. So our aims are a few. One is we are seeking to create species lists of our properties so that potential visitors can go into iNaturalist and check out the sanctuary page, or go into eBird and check out the sanctuary hotspot to see what species have been encountered recently or in the past. We also are looking to develop a lands inventory of our various sanctuaries. As I mentioned, we have two staff members in the lands department, and we have sanctuary stewards who help to manage and maintain those properties. But it is very difficult with that many thousands of acres to really have a full grasp of everything that is either growing on our properties or visiting our properties throughout the year. So this project is aiming to assist that and help us get a better understanding so that when our lands team as well as our lands committee meets, they can make sound land management strategies. And third, it's to inspire the public. So you are one of those ambassadors who is going to help inspire people through participation in this project to get outdoors and to slow down and to look a little bit more closely at the plant life and the wildlife around you. And what is a BioBlitz? Typically, a BioBlitz takes place on a single day or during just a few hours, depending on the parameters. Our event is a BioBlitz style event that is a full week. So it runs from Sunday, June 21st to Saturday, June 27th. And BioBlitz is made up of two components, bio meaning life, and then blitz, which is a concerted, energetic effort towards a specific task. Our specific task is to document all of the species that you are encountering. And the reason that we are holding it over an entire week is to account for people's schedules. Some people might be available during different days or different times of the day, and also to accommodate weather. So last year we had a couple days that were very, very hot and a couple days where we saw some rain. So having it over a full week gives people the flexibility to visit on a day when there is nice weather and they're available. Okay, and a little bit more about how to participate. As I mentioned, we are going to be asking participants to use the eBird platform and the iNaturalist platform. They are both free platforms that you can use on a desktop or a laptop or as a mobile app on your cell phone. And when you encounter a bird species, we are asking that you input that into eBird. And when you encounter anything else, including fungi or trees, flowers, amphibians, insects, other arthropods, mammals. You are going to input all of that through the iNaturalist platform. And we will be discussing the iNaturalist platform first. So how to use iNaturalist. You can download iNaturalist on your cell phone. You can also sign up for it through a desktop or laptop. So I am going to pull over iNaturalist and demonstrate how you can sign up for this platform if you need to, if you don't have an account already. So over on the right-hand side of the screen, I just want to double check and make sure that my iNaturalist page is showing up. Okay, great. Thank you, Grace. I would hate to be talking and then not have it actually be there. So on the right-hand side of the screen, there is a log in or sign up button. So I am going to sign up using an email address that I don't have yet on iNaturalist that I recently created, that I also wrote down to make sure that I would input it correctly. And we'll say that. Now, I just want to mention a few things. You are free to create whatever username you want, as long as it's not used by somebody else, and you can create whatever password you want. The only requirement to start a free iNaturalist account is to have a valid email address. So I know that some people may not feel comfortable having their primary email address associated with different platforms. You can, as I have this past week, create a new email address that you specifically use for this project if you want to, but it does have to be a valid email address. Okay, so once you have your password input, you're going to select I'm not a robot. And there's also these various statements at the bottom that you will have to select. So I believe I agree to terms of use and privacy policy is one of them that you will have to select. The others talk about your permission for iNaturalist to use your photos or your sound recordings, whether or not you allow iNaturalist to store any personal information about you, and we'll hit create an account, because I just want to let you know that there are a couple of boxes that you have to select. Otherwise, you will receive this error message. So the very top one, where you give license to iNaturalist to use your photos and sound recordings and observations so that fellow scientists can view them and use them in their own research, that one you do not have to select. And I have to reselect that I'm not a robot. But the other three you do, because iNaturalist does need some access to be able to accurately display your submissions. So, okay, we now have created an iNaturalist account. You'll see up here on the right-hand side that we can upload an observation. You can search for observations under this observations button and see what you've submitted. You also can search the community for projects and explore. So if you would like to view species that have been seen recently, you can do that. I am going to come back to this in just a little bit. I just wanted to demonstrate how to start an account initially. And there are a little bit of differences between the desktop app and the mobile app. And I will show you at the end our event or project webpage so that you will have a chance to take a look at the FAQs and the quick start guides that will go a little bit more in depth into that information. But you can also download this on a mobile app and initially sign in there as well. Okay, so next I am going to play a video that we took of me taking an observation right on our sanctuary here in Concord on my mobile phone and then uploading that. And then I also took a few photos with my camera that I loaded onto my computer, and I will show how to upload an observation after this page. There is a little bit of change in volume as the camera gets closer to me and then farther away. So just so that you know, it may get a little bit louder and then quiet down. And I am going to turn up the volume all the way. Welcome to Clifford Wildlife Sanctuary at Plant Center Concord. Today, we are going to demonstrate how to take a live observation through iNaturalist on a cell phone. We will also take a few photos with the camera and then demonstrate how to upload via a desktop or laptop. So first, we found a subject, and we are going to take some photos of this rose using my cell phone. The iNaturalist app is already installed, so we will click on that. This will bring up my profile, and at the bottom is the camera icon. When you click that, your camera will activate, and you can take photos of multiple angles. If you are taking a photo of a subject that is moving, such as an insect or a mammal or a bird, you want to either stay back or approach very slowly and cautiously. We will take a couple of photos of this subject, one of the flowers, and the iNaturalist app will analyze your first photo and then make its best suggestion of what you've taken a photo of. It will also automatically load your location if you have taken this photo with your cell phone and you don't have location services disabled. At this point, you can discard the photo and take it again. You can save this observation, or you can click this pen icon in the upper right and add additional photos. So we will take one more photo of the leaves. Click this green check mark to add it to the observation. So now we have both photos. You also have the option to change your geoprivacy. It will automatically be set to open, which is what you want to have for this challenge, as all of these observations will be on New Hampshire Audubon Sanctuary lands. However, if you take a photo of a wildlife that you think may be endangered or threatened, you can change it to obscure. The iNaturalist app will automatically obscure species that it has determined should not be shared publicly, but if you want to do so yourself, you can. However, if you do so, please view our iNaturalist guide to ensure that you have shared with the administrators of the project, which is New Hampshire Audubon, the location of the subject so that we still are able to include it in our land management strategies. You can either save the observation once you've completed it or upload now. If you want to review all of your observations that you've taken at a sanctuary before you upload them, you can save it, but we're going to go ahead and upload to show you what it looks like as you're uploading. Up at the top, it will show uploading one observation, and on the observation itself will be an arrow and a circle. That will disappear once the observation is successfully uploaded, and you'll see at the top that it is done. So now you are complete with your live observation. And next, we are going to take a few photos of the same subject. And I'm going to back up just to make sure that I get everything focused. And you want to make sure that you are then take photos of everything that you need to upload, including in this case, both the flowers and the leaves. Next, we move on to show how to upload your photos from your camera onto a desktop or a laptop and into the desktop iNaturalist version. Thank you very much, and good luck during the challenge. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is pull back over iNaturalist so that we can show you how to upload on a desktop in the case that you have taken some photos. So just to show you, this is the little SD card that came out of my camera. And I take photos in both JPEG and RAW. So I just pulled those JPEG photos off of my SD card and saved them to my uh, computer folder. So here they are. Here are the 3 photos that I took. And I also previously took a sound recording of an American toad because iNaturalist does also allow you to upload sound recordings. So I will work on doing that as well as an upload. So over here on the right-hand side, you'll see this green upload button. And when you hit upload, you can drag over your file and drop it. I do want to mention that for anybody who has used the iNaturalist Classic app on their cell phone, you can select multiple photos at a time to upload. On the desktop version and the updated iNaturalist app, you upload 1 photo at a time. So don't grab multiple photos and pull them over and drop them into the desktop version because it will create multiple submissions. So first, you just want to have your 1 photo, and then you can go in and make edits to it. So if you click in the species name, it will bring up suggestions. Now, from our previous submission on the cell phone, we know that this is a viburnum species and it's the Gilder rose, so we can select that. However, if you didn't know that, you could select the top suggestion, which was just the genus of viburnum. And then because I have on my camera the date and time set, when I pulled this over, it automatically picked up that. However, I do not have location services on my camera, so I do have to select on the map where I took this photo. So you can sort of zoom in and come to the correct location here. So here is where New Hampshire Audubon is in our Concord location. And then over here is our pollinator meadow. And as long as you select a fairly close approximation, now I could have taken a photo of the longitude and latitude coordinates as well to make sure that I got them correct. But I was over on the left side of the pollinator meadow. So as long as I am close to where this observation occurred, it will be picked up by the project and I can update the observation with that. And then over here on the right now, instead of upload, you see where it says submit 1 observation. So I am going to go ahead and submit. And then we'll upload another one. So over here, you can select upload again. And I am going to transfer over my sound file. Now, when you click on species name on a sound file, you will not receive a suggestion because there is no photo for the iNaturalist app to try and determine what species you have. So in this case, if I had no idea what this species was that I had a sound recording of, if I didn't know if it was a mammal or a frog or a bird, I could just put in unknown, and then the iNaturalist community would help narrow that down for me. However, I know that this is an American toad. Oops. And I didn't select American toad, so it went away. So let's try this again. And the date that I took this was May 6th. And I know that because that was on my sound recording file when I transferred it over to my computer. And I took the observation at 12:30. So another suggestion, when you make a sound recording, if you make a sound recording, make sure that either your file captures the date and time or that you note it down so that you can accurately put it into iNaturalist when you submit it. If you're not taking a live observation, you can also take a sound recording through a cell phone app live, and I've done that as well. Now, because this voice recording did not come from my cell phone through a live observation, I do have to zoom in again on the map and indicate where this came from. And this observation I took at our Massabesic Center. So we have a pond here that in which we have several frog species. And so I am going to mark that, and then I will submit that observation as well. Okay, so now we have 2 observations through our newly created profile. And information about this is also available through our webpage if you go to our Quick Start Guide for iNaturalist and our FAQs. And I would like to just quickly go over a little bit of additional tips for useful observations. I am using this North American porcupine as an example because it is not a great photo, but it is an observation that I made during the challenge last year. I was at Bear Mountain Wildlife Sanctuary in Hebron. There is a lot of tree cover there. It was dark. I came across this porcupine. It was not interested in hanging out with me, so it was sort of on the move away from me. And I snapped a couple of photos that were a little bit blurry. However, had I attempted to get the perfect shot, I would have ended up with no photos. So even though this is not a great photo, iNaturalist was still able to identify it. And as you can see here, it has been confirmed and it is now research grade, which means that other researchers and scientists throughout the world, if they need to know if there was a North American porcupine spotted at Bear Mountain Sanctuary in Hebron, New Hampshire, on June 28th, which is when I took this photo, they will be able to do so. They can find this and they can use this for their research. So my suggestion is get whatever shot you are able to get first, and then if there is time and if the subject is cooperative, get additional shots. You can try to get a species from multiple angles. If you are photographing something that is on the ground or that is an insect, I suggest being aware of your own shadow. You don't want to cast a shadow over wildlife. It is likely to fly away or run away. And if you need to approach something, approach it very slowly. Not only may you not get the shot if you approach too quickly, but this is a conservation project aimed at protecting wildlife. We don't want to stress them out by running towards them quickly. So another suggestion that I have is if you are using a camera instead of your cell phone and you're taking photos of, say, multiple species of butterfly or something like that, having a buffer photo in between your observations is a good idea. You can aim your camera at the ground or put the lens cap on and take a photo, anything that will allow you to differentiate between species that you're photographing. And then you can also take a screenshot of your cell phone to get you latitude and longitude coordinates if you're using a camera and you think that you're taking so many observations that you're not going to accurately remember where this particular one was. And I do want to also mention that automatic upload feature. So in the video, I demonstrated that the new iNaturalist app has the option to save or upload. If you are using the older iNaturalist Classic app, you can turn off the automatic upload feature so that you are able to save the observations if you want to review them all before you submit them later once you get back home from the sanctuary. Otherwise, if you don't disable that, as soon as you make an observation and hit that green button, it's going to upload it right away. Okay, now a little bit about the iNaturalist project. We have a New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge project created in iNaturalist. You do not have to join the project to participate. As long as you are on one of the included sanctuaries, your observations will get pulled into the project. But we would love for you to join the project. As you can see up here, when I took this screenshot, we had 66 people as part of the project. We love to see that grow. And that will also allow you to view updates that are made to the project. You will get emails about updates to the project. And then also, as we make journal posts throughout the week to let everybody know how things are going, who's visiting where. I like to post about which sanctuaries I've been at and what I've seen. You'll receive those updates as well. A quick mention about the trust level that was discussed in the video. If you ever choose to obscure an observation during the challenge, I ask that when you join the project, you scroll to the bottom and select the trust level as yes for any observation, and then click yes, I want to join. What this does is allow the administrators of the project, New Hampshire Audubon, to be able to see those observations even if you obscure them. Otherwise, we will not see them and we won't be able to utilize them in our land management strategies, which is really important in the case that any endangered or threatened species are seen. Although we want to know about all species, particularly threatened species are important to know about as we make decisions for what happens on our lands. Okay, now I am going to stop sharing and turn things over to Grace to tell you about the eBird platform. And then at the end, I'll come back for some additional suggestions and to wrap things up.
Let's see if it'll work. Uh, okay, great. Can you see it on the screen, Anita? Perfect. Thank you. Well, thank you all for coming tonight. I'm excited to share about the eBird portion of the New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge. My name is Grace McCulloch. I work here at New Hampshire Audubon, and one of my big roles is organizing and managing eBird data for the state of New Hampshire. The New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge is the perfect way to get started using eBird if you haven't used it before. And if you have before, it makes it very easy for you to submit your bird observations to the Nature Challenge. It has some really cool sister tools, like the Merlin Bird ID app that you may be familiar with. And we'll talk about that tonight too. eBird is a free citizen science platform where birders across the globe enter their bird observations. Feel free to drop in the chat whether you've used eBird before. If you already use eBird, participating is really easy. Simply go to any of our New Hampshire Audubon sanctuaries during the challenge week and share your list with our account. That account is on this slide here. It's the NHA_nature_challenge account. It is case sensitive, but it is simply that easy. Share your checklist with this account and your observations will be added to the Nature Challenge. If you haven't used eBird before, don't worry, I'm going to give you a quick rundown tonight of how to use it and then give you lots of helpful resources as you get started. As I may have mentioned, eBird is run by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, and it's a really powerful but also simple platform to use. The idea is that you submit the birds you see, along with where and when you saw them. And with millions of people doing that all across the globe, scientists are able to track bird populations and inform conservation efforts, thanks to people just like you submitting their sightings. And for this challenge, you can either download the mobile app or you can use eBird from the website on your computer. I always recommend downloading the mobile app. It's really easy to use, and then you have it in your pocket when you go out birding. So tonight I'll walk you through how to use the app. What I will note is that if you use the desktop version, what I would do is while you're out in nature recording your sightings, just keep the Notes app open in your phone and keep a list of all the species you're seeing, or jot them down on a piece of paper so you don't forget them later when you go to upload them on the website. But what I always recommend, get the app and then it's right in your pocket and you can do it quickly from your phone. When you go to install the app, there are a couple things that you'll need. You'll want to create a free login. I suggest using an email that you check fairly often, just in case someone reaches out to you about a rare bird that you report. The other important thing is to have your location services enabled. And I'll show you in a little bit why that's important. It just allows for accurate data entry and for the app to have a good idea of what sanctuary you're birding at. So once you have all of those things squared away in the app, it's really easy. You'll go out birding at one of our sanctuaries, you'll click on the app, and this is the first page that you'll see. It'll bring you to a home screen where it has already collected data on the date that you're birding, the time that you're birding, and all you have to do is click Start Checklist to begin. You'll click Start Checklist, and the first thing that you want to do when birding at one of our sanctuaries is to choose the location. You can see that circled in red at the top of the screen. It says Auto Selected. You want to click on that and select the right eBird hotspot for your location. A list of nearby hotspots will appear, and often the first one is the correct one. We've posted a list of official eBird hotspots for each of our sanctuaries on our sanctuaries page. But in this example, where I was birding at the McLean Center in Concord, the correct option showed up first, and that's the one that I selected. That's one of the reasons that having the geolocation available and clicked when you download the app is that it can help you select the best hotspot and not have to search through the tools to find that hotspot. So I clicked here, I clicked use the McLean Center, and then I was ready to get birding. As you're birding, simply enter the species you see and how many of each you see. So you can see here, I entered 2 American redstarts, 4 yellow warblers. One of the nice features of eBird is that it provides some visual clues as to what birds are common for your location based on available data and what ones are less likely to be seen. And so the red circles next to some of the species, like the bay-breasted warbler here, indicate that the bird is rare for the area, whereas the orange half-filled circles mean that it's uncommon. In either of these cases, it doesn't mean that you could never see one of them, but rather is more of a prompt for you to double check and make sure, well, is that really a bay-breasted warbler? And if it is indeed a bay-breasted warbler, when you click on that species, there'll be a notes section available where you can add notes about how you identified the bird and how you eliminated other more common species that look similar to it. So that's a great resource to add notes if you do and you are the very lucky person to see a rare bird while out birding on one of our sanctuaries. And it's totally okay if you don't know every bird that you see out on your nature walk, but we do ask that you only report the species you are confident about. And when you are done birding, you can click stop. It'll ask you if you really want to stop. You can click stop, and then it'll give you a nice summary page where you get to review your observation and make any changes that you need to. So look over that summary page carefully, make sure the location is correct, and then the most important thing is to share your checklist with us at the New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge. So you'll click on this nice Share Your Checklist button, which is circled in red, and then be sure to enter that username NHA_nature_challenge for your sightings to be shared with us. And that is, again, case sensitive, but once you've entered it, that's all you have to do to make sure your sightings are shared. Sometimes if only one observer is entered in the checklist, the Share Your Checklist option won't appear. If that is the case, you can enter 2 observers and then the Share Your Checklist option should appear and you can share it with us. You'll then return to the summary page where you'll have a summary of all the species that you reported. Here you can make any final edits that you have add an additional species you forgot to add, and then click submit. And that's really all it takes. If you take photos during the challenge, we would also love for you to share them. Unfortunately, at the moment, the app doesn't have the ability for you to add photos, but you can do this on the desktop, and that's what I would suggest. So you can go into the website, ebird.org. You'll enter your username and password. You can go to My eBird, which is underlined here in red, and a list of all the checklists you've ever submitted will appear. You'll click on the checklist where you have photos to submit, and then you'll get this lovely page here, which we have on the screen. Um, you'll see this green button that says Add Media on the right of the screen. That's where you'll click that button, and then you'll be able to upload photos for your observations. This is also a nice place if you forgot for any reason to share your checklist with the New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge account. You can also share it here on the screen, and you can see that circled in red on the left. So that was a quick intro to eBird. If you are new to eBird, I would highly suggest the free eBird Essentials course run by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. It's self-paced. It takes a few hours to complete, but it really has all the essential information and anything you could ever need to know about eBird in that course. So if you are in it for the long run with eBird, that can be worthwhile taking. If you're looking for more of a quick start guide, we do have that on our webpage as well. And Erin can put that in the chat for you guys, just to get you started with eBird for this nature challenge. A wonderful tool to help with bird ID that many people are familiar with is the Merlin Bird ID app. This is great. It can identify photos, it can take sound recordings and tell you what birds you're listening to. So I encourage you to use it, but to also know that sometimes, just like with all technology, it can make mistakes. So encourage you to make sure that it is indeed the right bird that it's identifying. So go look for that bird that's singing and make sure that it's a common yellowthroat, for example, because it can occasionally hallucinate. And I put here a note at the bottom. They're both run by the same organization, but remember that Merlin is for identification help, and eBird is really where you share your sightings, and where you'll be sharing your sightings for the nature challenge. So if you find something cool on Merlin, don't forget to share it in eBird, so that we can get your data. And the last thing I'll note is that you can use eBird any time of year in any place that you are across the globe. So I'd really encourage you to use the Nature Challenge as a way to get started with eBird, but you don't have to give it up after the challenge. You can use it any time of year. And if you're anything like me, you'll find it really fun, and then it becomes just a part of your everyday life. The lovely thing is it tracks your sightings for you. It gives you a life list, but you're also contributing data to scientists, just like the scientists at New Hampshire Audubon, where that we can use that data to look at trends over time in our bird populations. So have fun on the Nature Challenge, and feel free to put any questions in the chat. With that, I'm going to hand things back to Anita, and she's going to give you some practical tips for visiting our sanctuaries.
Thank you very much, Grace. All right, let me re-share my screen. And bring scroll through some pages here. Okay, let's get to the right page. All right, so some tips about visiting our sanctuaries safely. Many of you have probably already visited one or two of New Hampshire Audubon sanctuaries. They are all different, but there is the chance that you may come upon some unforeseen conditions, and we want to make sure that you are first and foremost keeping yourself safe during this challenge. So we only want you to visit the properties between dawn and dusk. Our properties that are included, there are 25 different sanctuaries. Some of them are very close to one another, but there are 25 distinct sanctuaries that are included in the challenge, and they are all open to the public from dawn to dusk. So please keep your visits between those hours. In the case of severe inclement weather, please choose a different time or date to visit one of the sanctuaries. Although we very much value all of your submissions, we do not want you to put yourself in any danger in acquiring them. Make sure you dress for the weather and bring layers. As I'm sure many of you know, weather conditions can change quickly, and this just recently happened to me over on Massabesic Lake. It was warm, it was beautiful, it was sunny, and all of a sudden it started thundering and pouring rain. So make sure you are prepared and wear sturdy footwear. You may come across conditions where you are traveling over exposed tree roots, where there may be some standing water on the trail. There are rocks or other things that you're coming upon on the trail, and we want you to make sure you're wearing appropriate footwear. We encourage you to bring cell phone, your camera, your binoculars, bring a hiking stick if you would like, bring water, a snack, anything that you need to be comfortable while you're participating. And also remember that this is June and there is the chance for biting insects. You may encounter sun, rain, or wind. If you are preparing for insects, you might want to consider using permethrin. I have a photo of a spray that is for clothing and gear for permethrin that you spray on whatever you're planning to wear or bring with you ahead of time. Let it dry, and then that helps protect against ticks and other biting insects. Also, we have some good recommendation of Picardin insect repellent lotion that you can use. You also might want to consider getting a hat with a bug net on it, or I know some people have purchased full bug suits, which are full mesh sort of coats and pants that go over your clothing to help protect from mosquitoes and other biting insects like black flies. We suggest that if you are going to be spraying insect repellent, please do so before you enter onto the trails. Our sanctuaries are top priority for wildlife conservation. So we just want to make sure that we're not spraying any sort of pesticides on the property. We ask that you do not harass, handle, or collect any species that you encounter, and also that you keep watch over your volume. So make sure that you are not excessively making a lot of noise around species. We do have species that nest on our sanctuary properties, and we want to make sure that it is a safe space for them to stay. If you happen to notice any dangerous conditions on the trails when you're visiting one of our sanctuaries, please submit a trail report. This goes directly to our lands department. You can access it at nhaudubon.org/lands, or you can utilize this QR code that's over on the left middle of this screen. And as I mentioned, some properties may have areas of standing water on the trails. There may be some that have some blowdowns of trees. So make sure that you are being safe. And if a trail is impassable, please turn around and please submit a trail condition report. Our lands department and our sanctuary stewards make an excellent effort throughout the spring, summer, and fall, and also, frankly, winter, to keep the trails clear and passable for all of our visitors. But as nature is unpredictable, sometimes there are conditions that are unforeseen. We also advise that you stay on the trails. Do not wander off the trail into the woods or into a marshy area. We do not want you to incur any injuries, and we also don't want you to get lost. And then just a last reminder about ticks. This is prime tick season, although for my dog, every season is prime tick season. And I recommend wearing light colors, which are going to be better for checking yourself for ticks. And I would like to let you know that this year we have 6 separate guided tours happening during our nature challenge. There is one every day except Thursday. We are saving Thursday in the case that there's inclement weather one of the other days, and our guide and participants are available to go out Thursday instead. We might reschedule one of the tours if necessary. However, fingers crossed, there's wonderful weather every day, and we don't need to do that. But very quickly, on Sunday, we'll be at Panema Bog in Amherst. On Monday, we'll be at Popple Island in Epsom. Tuesday, we will be at Farley Meadow in Nashua. Wednesday, we will be at Pondicherry in Whitefield. Friday, we will be at Bellamy River in Dover. And Saturday, we will be at the Massabesic Center in Auburn. I have included at the bottom of this where we are meeting, but I will also show you where you can register for those events, and the information about driving coordinates and parking is also there. Just to let you know, I drive an orange Subaru Crosstrek. If you are a little bit unsure where to go, you can look for that Crosstrek. I will be at all of these events. And lastly, we have some resources for you. You can learn a little bit more about iNaturalist. You can learn more about eBird. You can learn more about our sanctuaries and register for the event. And then you can also share your photos with us at emedia@nhaudubon.org. My email is here, afernandez@nhaudubon.org, in case you have any questions throughout the challenge. I will try to be online as much as possible to be able to answer those or help. We also have our Facebook and Instagram pages up here if you would like to share any information about the challenge on your personal pages. And on Instagram, you can help spread the word with our Audubon Nature Challenge and Let's Go Outside hashtags. I do want to show you our webpage and where to sign up. And then I also would like to show you how to join the project on iNaturalist. And I'm also going to quickly show you those eBird hotspots on our webpage that Grace mentioned. So since we have a little bit of extra time before we take any questions that there might be, I'm just going to show you a few of those things. So first, on iNaturalist, we're on the profile that I newly created. And if you go to Community, which is along the top banner of the screen, it says iNaturalist over on the left, and it's gray. And then you have Explore. You can look at your observations. But under Community, you can search projects. So when you click on projects, you can type in the New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge. And if you've looked it up a bunch of times like I have, it will already be there. And then you hit go and it will come up. And if you click on it, you will see our iNaturalist project page for this event. Once it starts, you'll be able to view who has, or the submissions that have been made and the usernames of who made them. For right now, you can only see the countdown until it starts. So up here in this About section, in white is a Join button. So if I click that and scroll down, I am just going to quickly talk about that trust center that I mentioned earlier, both in the video and in the presentation. So in the case that I manually change one of my observations to obscured, I want to select yes for any of my observations so that New Hampshire Audubon, the administrator of the project, can still see where those observations happened. And then I will select yes, I want to join. And it will bring me back to that main screen where I'll be able to see that instead of 66 members now, I see 67 because I have now joined it. And then I do have the option to leave, but why would I want to? Of course, because I want all of the updates. And then next, I'm going to show you the New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge webpage. So if you go to nhaudubon.org, which I'm going to do to show you how to get to that webpage, and go to Centers and Events, The New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge is under the events banner. And if you click on it, it will bring up that web page. You will have some information about this year's challenge, including all of the guided tours. So you can see the 6 there. You may have gone to this page to register for this webinar. And I believe that both I and Grace mentioned the FAQ. You can download that here. You can view a few steps of just very quickly what to do to get started. And then the list of the sanctuaries included in the project is also on this page. So you'll be able to see all of the included sanctuaries and what town they are in. And then we have 3 sanctuaries which are ADA accessible. So you'll be able to see those as well. We have some quick start guides that were referenced. There is one for iNaturalist as well as one for eBird. And then we also have specific New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge shirts that are available through Bonfire. You can click on this to be taken to the Bonfire page, or you can just go to bonfire.com and search New Hampshire Audubon, and this will come up. There are shirts that are available in a few different styles. There are 2 different styles of hoodies available. There is a fully 100% cotton shirt. There is a shirt that's made from recycled materials. There are shirts for youth, in case there are any children who want to show their support. And just to let everybody know, they are all for sale at cost. So they range in price, but they're on average about $20 to $25 a piece. And if anybody is interested, I would suggest ordering them right away because they do usually take a couple weeks. They are printed on demand. So as the orders come in, the shirts are printed and shipped. So they do take a little bit of time to come in. And then you'll also be able to see a breakdown of the types of wildlife that were observed last year. So as I mentioned, we had almost 4,000 observations and 845 different species that were documented during the week of the challenge last year. And if you would like to sign up for one of the guided tours, that is under the events calendar. So you go back to centers and events and then click on events calendar. And if we scroll down here through the 21st through the 27th, you can see the New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge logo. There are 6 of them for our 6 guided tours. And if you click on one, you'll be able to see information about the tour and then also register. If you are interested in registering, I would suggest doing so sooner rather than later because each tour does have a capacity limit. They generally range between 12 and 15 individuals. It depends on the sanctuary and the size of the trail. For example, this particular sanctuary at Panema Bog has a lot of boardwalk, so it's difficult for a large number of people to be able to congregate together. So that's why there are limited capacities at these sanctuaries, and some are more limited than others. But it will also give you information about where to go and what address you are going to put into your GPS so that you get to the right location. You can also register for the challenge itself, which I recommend. And if you know of anybody who is unable to come to the webinar, but they are planning to participate, let them know to register as well. The challenge itself is this banner that runs throughout the whole week. It's sort of this periwinkle bluish purple color. And if you click on that and register, what will happen is your email address will be captured and you will receive the full project results once we get everything compiled after the nature challenge is done. So if you want to see which species were seen at which sanctuary, how many species were seen at each sanctuary, how many participants were at each sanctuary, all of that gets compiled, separated out, and put into a full report that you are able to have access to as long as you register for the challenge. So I highly encourage you to do that. And then lastly, I just want to show you how to access those eBird hotspots that Grace was talking about. So if you aren't sure what hotspot to use when you're reporting through eBird and you're not sure if the eBird app or desktop version is pulling up the correct hotspot for you, if you go to the sanctuary that you were on, so for example, I'm just going to show you how to get to the sanctuaries page. So it's under the lands banner up at the top, and then you can click which area the sanctuary you visited is in. If you're not sure which area the sanctuary you visited is in, that's okay. You can just click on the main wildlife sanctuaries button, and it will take you to the entire listing, and you can just scroll through and then find which sanctuary you visited and click on that. So in this case, I'm going to go to the Inez and Frederick Yates Wildlife Sanctuary in Warren Sanctuary page. And if you scroll down, you will see this green button next to iNaturalist observations, this green button that says eBird Hotspot. When you click on that, it will take you to a separate page within eBird that shows you the name of that hotspot so that you're sure that you have the right one. And then I'll quickly mention that this button here that says iNaturalist observations will take you to the iNaturalist project page specific for this sanctuary. So if you were interested in seeing past observations at the Inez and Frederick Yates Sanctuary, you can click on that button and it will take you right into iNaturalist. Excuse me. And then you'll be able to see the full sanctuary and which observations were there. If you click on the observations, so there have been 67 observations at this sanctuary. If you click on that, it will show you all of the species that have been observed at this sanctuary. Okay, so I'm going to move that back over. So if anybody wants to grab any of these links or email addresses, you're free to do so. We will also be making sure that you receive an email probably tomorrow that just follows up on this webinar and provides you with a few additional webpage links and contact information and how to find different information, how to register for the tours, and then when the recording will be available on our website. So you'll be able to go to the New Hampshire Audubon Nature Challenge webpage and view this year's webinar, just in case you missed part of it or just want to review. And I'm going to just double check with Zoe and Erin now to see if we have any questions.
There was really only one, so if anyone has anything that came to mind now, you can put it in the chat and we'll read them off. But you kind of just covered this, but I'll just go over it again just in case.
Sure.
Someone said that they have many observations on our sanctuaries and they were wondering if there's a way to have them available to us outside of the challenge. Yeah, I think that hotspot that you just
Yes,
showed it a little
that is a great question. And what we did last year was we created project pages for each of our individual sanctuaries so that throughout the year, as people are making observations, whether they're going out specifically to log observations on the sanctuary or just seeing things incidentally, if you are uploading them through iNaturalist, they will be captured by those project pages throughout the year. So although this challenge is sort of a targeted, concerted effort, all of those do get captured as well. Yes. So thank you. And thank you for being on our sanctuaries and making observations at other times too. We love being able to see what species are utilizing our properties throughout the year.
Anita, I'm not sure, you may have touched on this and I may have missed it, but just in case anyone is wondering, if we joined the project for the Nature Challenge last year in iNaturalist, do we need to go through the process of joining again this year, or are we still sort of within that project?
Yes, so anybody who has already joined the project will still be a part of it as long as you didn't then leave the project. So you noticed once I joined, there was that option to leave. So if you decided to leave the project after the project was done last year, you will need to rejoin. But we use the same project page. We just updated the dates for this year's challenge. So thank you, Erin. That was a great question. And if nothing else is coming in, I will let everyone go to enjoy their evening. And as I mentioned, if you do have questions, you are welcome to email me directly at afernandez@nhaudubon.org. You also are, of course, welcome to visit the webpage or our event calendar for some more information on what we have going on during the week and our FAQ and quick start guides to learn more if you need any additional suggestions on how to participate in those two platforms. And if you do have any questions, we'll try to get back with you as quickly as we can. And thank you very much to everybody who joined this evening. It was great to talk about this year's challenge. I'm excited to have a second year and see what we end up with this year. And I hope to see you out on the trails during the challenge. So everybody take care and have a great evening. Thank you.